The first time he broke my heart. It wasn't with words. It was with silencian, unbearable silence that stretched between us like a wound no song could ever heal. And yet, here I am, years later, still chasing the echo of his voice like a fool who never learned. Ethan was never meant for the spotlight. And maybe that was the cruelest irony of all. He was born with music inside him. The kind that pulled people in. Made them stop mid-step on busy New York streets. Made them breathe differently. But while the city begged him to shine, Ethan only wanted to disappear. I met him at a small dive bar in Brooklyn. The kind of place where broken dreams hung heavy in the air like cigarette smoke. I was 20, broke, and pretending I wasn't terrified of my own reflection. He was 22, with calloused fingers and a voice that could cut through glass. I remember how his eyes avoided mine even when we spoke, as if I'd already seen too much of him just by looking. We became friends fast, though I knew from the start friendship was just a poor disguise for what I felt. Nights bled into mornings. Guitar strings snapped. And somewhere between rooftop beers and missed subway rides, I fell in love with the boy who swore he couldn't love anyone. He was running from fame, from family, from the ghosts that followed him like shadows. And maybe from me too. The first time he let me in, really let me in, was after a gig gone wrong. The sound system had failed. The crowd had grown restless. And Ethan walked out mid-song, his pride shattered. I found him on the fire escape of the bar, shaking, angry, eyes wet though he'd never admit it. "Everyone wants a piece of me," he muttered, voice hoarse. "But I don't even know who the hell I am. I don't know what gave me the courage." But I reached out, brushed my thumb across his jaw. He flinched at first, then leaned into it, just barely. That was the night he kissed me, desperate, trembling, tasting of whiskey and fear. But loving Ethan was never easy. He wasn't the kind of man who gave himself freely. He pulled close, then pushed away. Nights of fire were followed by weeks of silence. I'd wait for his calls, his texts, the sound of his guitar drifting through the crack of my door when he showed up unannounced. And when he did, I always let him in, no matter how many pieces of me he left scattered on the floor. "Why do you keep coming back?" I asked him once, after a night that left both of us wrecked. The city lights flickering like broken promises outside my window. His answer was quiet, almost a confession. "Because you're the only thing that feels real." But even real things can break. And Ethan broke me more times than I care to count. The worst was the night he vanished. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone. His apartment empty. His phone disconnected. His music silenced. For months, I walked the city like a ghost, chasing after a boy who didn't want to be found. And yet, here's the thing about love: it doesn't die just because it should. It lingers. It rots. It waits. 2 years passed before I saw him again. I was on my way home from work, the streets slick with rain, when I heard it had voice. That impossible voice. Raw and cracked but still magic. He was standing under an awning in Times Square, guitar in hand, playing to no one and everyone all at once. I froze. My body remembered him before my mind could catch up. My chest burned. My throat tightened. And then, as if the universe hadn't tortured me enough, his eyes found mine. Ethan stopped mid-verse. His lips parted. For a second, the whole city disappeared. "Caleb," he whispered when I finally reached him, his voice breaking on my name. I wanted to scream at him, hit him, tell him how much he had ruined me. Instead, I just stood there, rain dripping from my hair, shaking with something I couldn't name. You don't get to say my name like that, I said, though my voice betrayed me with its softness. His hand reached for mine, tentative, trembling. I never stopped, he choked on the words, swallowed them, then tried again. I never stopped loving you. God, how I hated him in that moment. And how I loved him all the same. That night, I didn't go home. Neither did he. We sat on the cold floor of my apartment. His guitar discarded. His head resting against my shoulder. He didn't offer apology, knew better. But in the quiet between us, in the way he held my hand like it was the only anchor he had left, I felt it, the truth. Ethan was still running. But this time, maybe he was running toward me. Ethan stayed that night. But I didn't let myself believe it meant more than the fragile silence we shared. I had learned the hard way that hope could be poison. Still, when morning came and sunlight spilled across the floor, he was there, curled up on my couch, breathing evenly as if he hadn't spent years suffocating both of us with his absence. I made coffee. The smell must have woken him, because when I turned, he was watching me with that same look, half apology, half worship, as if he was terrified I'd vanish if he blinked. Why now? I asked finally. My voice wasn't harsh, just tired. Why come back after all this time? Ethan sat up, elbows on his knees, hair falling into his eyes. For once, he didn't try to dodge. Because I can't write another song without you in it. And because I was scared I'd never get another chance to make things right. I laughed, bitter. You think you get to disappear, come back, and I stopped myself, heart pounding. I wanted to scream that he had destroyed me, that I had built walls so high I forgot what sunlight felt like. But when I looked at him, truly looked, I saw a man stripped raw. No spotlight, no pretense, just Ethan. And damn me, I still loved him. The weeks that followed were slow, careful. He didn't ask to stay, but he showed up every night. Sometimes with his guitar, sometimes with nothing but quiet eyes and trembling hands. I tried to keep him at arm's length. But love has a way of slipping through cracks. Slowly, painfully, we began again. It wasn't perfect. He still had his storms, nights where he shook and couldn't sleep. Mornings where music poured out of him like a curse. But this time, he didn't shut me out. He let me hold him through the darkness. Let me be the steady rhythm under his melody. One evening, we went walking through Central Park. Autumn leaves crunching underfoot. Ethan carried his guitar, insisting he felt lighter with it in hand. At the Bethesda Terrace, he stopped, sat on the steps, and began to play. People gathered, drawn in like moths to flame. His voice rose, strong and aching, carrying across the water. But unlike before, he didn't look away. His eyes stayed locked on mine, unflinching, as if daring me to believe him. Every word he sang was a confession, every chord a vow. By the time he finished, my cheeks were wet with tears I hadn't realized had fallen. After the crowd drifted off, he set his guitar aside and came to me. His hands cupped my face, firm and certain in a way they'd never been before. Caleb, he said, voice shaking but sure. I don't care about the spotlight. I don't care if I ever make it big, or if I spend the rest of my life playing to empty streets. The only thing I want, the only thing I've ever wanted is you. Tell me I haven't lost you for good. For a moment, couldn't breathe. Years of pain, of waiting, of wanting it all crashed over me at once. And then I did the only thing that felt true. I pulled him close and kissed him. Hard. Fierce. Like I was staking a claim. You never lost me. I whispered against his lips. You just had to stop running long enough to see it. The weeks turned into months. And somehow, the world didn't end. Ethan still played in bars and on corners. But now his songs carried warmth instead of sorrow. Sometimes I'd watch from the back, hidden in the crowd, and smile when his eyes inevitably found me. Every note was ours. Every lyric a piece of the love we'd rebuilt. One night, back at my apartment, he strummed lazily on his guitar while I lay with my head in his lap. The window was open, the city humming in the background. You know, he murmured, fingers brushing through my hair. I used to think music was the only thing keeping me alive. But I was wrong. He paused, then bent to press a kiss to my forehead. It's you, Caleb. Always you. For once, I didn't doubt him. And maybe that's what healing really isn't, forgetting the pain. Not pretending it never existed, but choosing to believe in the love that survives it. Ethan had been a wandering musician, always hiding, always running. But in the end, he had found his home. And it wasn't in the spotlight. It was with me. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.